What's up, everybody? Hey, this is Phil from Walmart Right Lane Trucking coming at you. It is Thursday night, and yes, I'm shut down for the night. I had a long day. I almost used all of my time today. Can you believe that? Wasn't trying to. It just so happened that's the way it worked out. So when I left you last night, I was at a rest stop. About 11 miles. I think it's the rest stop. I don't know the name of it. The rest stop about 11 miles north of Kettleman City is the one I was at last night. Got up this morning, got going, and just trucked it up. It was 210 miles to my destination from there. But before I got on road, I called the Rock and asked them to resend me my dispatch because it still wasn't showing that leg in there. It was still showing me at the vendor down in Colton. Now, it wasn't really a vendor. It was, like I said before, it was that relay yard, but the way they code it is a vendor. I don't know why, but maybe it's for address wise and whatnot. But so he resent it to me. Still didn't get it. So it was what it was. I just got on the road and went. I figured I'd call once I got up there again and see where it goes from there. So where I was going is a Walmart facility. It's been there 1 year. It's right next to the Sacramento International Airport, and it's a .com facility. Pretty easy in, pretty easy out. It's not like your normal DCs, but wasn't too hard. Now, the biggest thing about the .com facilities that I'm seeing that are a little bit different than our regular DCs is when we go to the regular DC and we have any paperwork, we give it to the guard at the guard shack, and they take it from us. They take the paperwork at that point from us, which, because that's where the trailer's going, I guess. I don't know what the deal is with that, why we have to do this extra step at the .coms. But at the .coms, you have to park your trailer, then take the paperwork around to the office, the transportation office, and turn it in. It's just a little bit different, but you get used to those things, and the guards at the front will tell you that. When I took the claims one to Vegas, I didn't have to do that. So it depends on each one, and you, I guess, just have to ask the right questions sometimes. So I called the dispatch again, and he was able to, what I suggested to him was to take it out completely out of my system and then redispatch me. So that's what he did, and they had me going to I did that actually. You know when I did that at Blue Beacon, because I got Wally washed today. So on my way up, I stopped in Stockton, Lodi area. It's actually Lodi, I guess it's considered. And got Wally washed, and then got back on road. And that's when I called about my dispatch, so that I had it all taken care of before I got to that other facility. So they had me going from that facility in Sacramento to McCarran. So that's another 161 miles. So 210, another 160. It basically came out to almost 375, I think it was. Came out to right around there, 375 for total mileage so far for that. Then when I got there, I parked my empty trailer, went in and parked, went on meal, went inside, let them know I was there, and I checked in with the coordinator. I didn't have a dispatch yet, so I checked in with the coordinator, and she looked it up in the system, and she tells me, oh yeah, it looks like you're dead heading back to Colton, or to Colton. I said, no, you sure about that? I was just at Colton. Why would they have brought me deadheading all the way here with an empty to go to Colton? Why wouldn't they have just had me deadhead from Sacramento back down to Colton if that was the case? And she goes, well, that's what it says. Okay. So she gives me a seal sheet, which once you get your trailer, you take this empty seal sheet to the guard at the outbound, and they'll fill it out, and off you go. Now, I could have. I so could have. I could have said, yeah, you're right, I'm going to Colton. But nowhere on my dispatch did it say I was going to Colton. And so I wasn't taking that for an answer. And being that I used to be in management, being that I used to be a dispatcher as well as an on-road manager, on-road supervisor, driver, I knew it just didn't sound right. So I made a phone call. And the Rock is like, no, you're not going to Colton. I'm going to give you a load and we'll get you out of there, but it's due for tomorrow. We'll give you a dry load. I'm like, all right, cool. So I waited. Nothing came across yet, but I'm, again, having issues with my device, so I figured, let me go in and ask. And still no dispatch. And I talked to a different coordinator, and he looked at my workflow, and he says, oh yeah, you're going to Colton. I go, no, I just got phone with the Rock. He says, I'm not going to Colton. Can you reach out to him and figure this out? So he was doing, they like to get a lot of those instant messages. They either use some kind of like Skype program where they instant message each other instead of talking on the phone. And so I said, can you take a look at that, reach out to them, and everything else. So I walked out, went back to my truck, figured I'd give them about 10 minutes and then I'd call the Rock again myself. And while I'm sitting in the truck, my device starts making noise. They're removing some of the other things that were duplicates on my end and then putting in the other load for me. So went in, got my paperwork, and got out of there. Now, looks like there was one fuel pump that was down, so everybody was trying to get on this one fuel pump, and I'm like, I gotta go. I got fuel though I need, but I gotta go. I gotta get fuel, I gotta go. Well, let me go get my trailer first. So I went and got my trailer first while everybody else was waiting in line, and then once I got my trailer, pre-tripped it, I went back over to the fuel line and got in line and didn't have to wait that long. So that wasn't a bad idea. So I got from there all the way to Sacramento, and that's where I'm at now. I'm overnighting in Sacramento at our yard here. And one of the things I remembered, and I talked about this, I think it was last week, where I put a note on there saying, don't touch my trailer, please leave it here, don't take it. Well, I remembered, I guess on the way here, up in the overhead compartment up there, I have some of my bags. And in my bags, guess what else I have? Glad hand locks. So I carry 3 glad hand locks. Why, I don't know. This is the first time I've actually used them. But, yeah. So I figured I'd just throw 2 glad hand locks, one on the service glad hand and one on the emergency glad hand. And I got my lock on the back. They're not taking that trailer unless they get very industrious and get those things cut off. So if you have glad hand locks, use them if you come to Sacramento. So to that point, everything I just said, right? So in with the coordinators, I know what they're looking at. I understand it. But if it doesn't sound right, guys, take it to the next level if you can. Because it just didn't sound right that she wanted me to go deadheading all the way back down to Colton when it wasn't in my dispatch as such. So I wasn't going to do it. And I wasn't going to just blindly do it, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. I don't know if you're a independent contractor or owner operator, how it works in your locations, or you're a mega carrier guy, but our system, if it's not, I've always told my drivers in the past, if it's not in your board, don't do it. Make sure they put it in your board. That way, when you're going the wrong direction, nope, that's what it says in my board. I've got it right here in my board. That's what it says. So, just a word to the wise. Just follow what it says in your board. And if it doesn't say it, don't do it. Right? Just because the coordinator says, oh, get off and go over to Colton. If I would have done that, I would have just wasted my time. Now, would they have found something for me to do? Maybe. But I don't want to drive 400 miles out of my way just because. So I wasn't going to do it. Alright. So that was my day. Now, one of the things I want to talk about safety-wise is, and this is for all the truckers, and if a four-wheeler's watching, please watch and pay attention to this. Nothing's worse than seeing a four-wheel car just come up and you're in the middle of your lane, holding your lane. You got a big rig, a 53-foot long trailer, and you're keeping your unit in the middle of the lane. And it always seems like some cars, either are they distracted, but they seem to drift over towards you. Especially on the driver's side, I notice it more so. And they seem to be coming closer to the rig. And I'm like, well, did I merge over towards them or did they merge towards me? Because it just seems like they're getting closer and closer to my driver's door. And I look down and nope, I'm in the middle of the lane. I don't understand how they're drifting over into my lane. So to my point of this is, you got to be alert to that. You know, I think sometimes we take them for granted that they're going to stay in their lane because they're smaller and it's easier for them to stay in their lane. They don't stay in their lane all the time. Whether they're going straight, whether they're on a curve, they don't stay in their lane all the time. And then they like to try to cut right in front of you at a high rate of speed, thinking you're going really slow. And you got to be careful of that too, because they're going to misjudge where you're at. So you got to be looking in those mirrors and paying attention out of the corner of your eye. Just look out of the corner of your eye. That's where I usually see them the most, is out of the corner of my eye when I see them right next to me. So, because I could see them coming up, but once they get to next to the tractor, you are looking either at the convex, or you're looking at the fender mirror, or you're just looking over the side and you can see down at them. Just pay attention to them. Make sure they clear you properly. And then the second thing I was going to talk about, last thing I was going to talk about, and I'll wrap this up. But we think all truckers are professionals and they know what they're doing all the time. And you're going up a grade, you're coming down a grade, you're going around a curve. You got to watch out for them too, especially if you're going to pass them or they're going to pass you. So, for example, going up a grade, you might be empty and they might be fully loaded. So you're going to have more ability to pass them. What you got to watch out for is that, are they paying attention? Are they looking to see that you're coming up on them and are going to pass them? Because they might not be staying fully in their lane. I tend to, if I'm passing a truck on their left, my right, which is the right way to do it, I tend to stay more to the left line and try to give as much space to them as I can. Now, the four-wheelers, any other cars that are to my left, I'm keeping an eye on as well to make sure I'm giving them enough room. But they're a little bit smaller, so I can ride that white line on my side to give that other trucker more room on my passenger side. Does that make sense? So this is especially true when you're going into a curve, because depending if it's a curve to the right or a curve to the left, you might need to give them more space for that is going around. Especially if you're coming up from behind them and they're already in a right curve, they're not going to see you coming up. They should have already seen you coming up the hill before you got to them. But you know, some guys and girls aren't paying attention to those mirrors all the time. And so before they begun that turn, they might not have been looking in their mirror at all. But their trailer tends to, because it's turned, I can't do this on the phone. I can't do this. They're turned like this. And so the trailer is sticking maybe over the line just a little bit. So you've got to watch out for that, because they're not giving enough space. They're trying to make sure they stay as far to their left on that right curve that their trailer behind on the passenger side stays in the lane. Make sense? But that little curve in the front nose will be sticking sometimes over into your lane. So you got to watch out for that and give them plenty of space if you're going around them. I think I heard somebody had an accident. I'm not sure all the details, but I think they had an accident passing another big rig on a curve on the upgrade like that. So just be careful that you're giving them this space that they need. And then the other thing is, if they're passing you, which happens quite often, at least in my case, I don't just take it for granted that they're going to stay straight in their lane the entire time, and that they're going to signal when they want to come over, or they're going to, come over after I get, after they've fully cleared. They're going to make sure that they fully cleared, because sometimes, again, that back of that trailer tends to just glide over to the right a little bit towards you, and you're like, whoa, hold on, let me go over here a little bit. So you got to watch that. You can't take that for granted when you're driving, and got to stay safe. Just got to stay safe. Watch out for both sides. All right. Hey, this is Phil from Walmart, Right Lane Trucking. I'll talk to you tomorrow.